Okay, we're going to give just a second for everybody to get logged in. All right. As people are logging in, I'm going to just go over a few housekeeping items before we get started. So, good morning, everybody who's joining in on right now. I want to go over a few housekeeping items, let you know that we are recording this session. We will be uploading it to our website later on today, so you can watch the recording if you're not able to stay on the entire time, or you would like to revisit. We'll also be uploading it to our Be a Builder of Choice podcast on Spotify, so you can listen to it there if you'd like to. We do encourage you guys to ask questions throughout the presentation. So feel free to submit questions. Down at the bottom of your screen, you should see 2 Q&A bubbles. You can submit your question there and I will read it out loud to the panel. I will probably hold most of the questions until the very end to maintain the flow of the conversation. And then you're also welcome to have conversation in our little chat box. So feel free to make comments in the chat box as well. If you have any questions that you need directed at me, if you're having any technical issues or anything like that, feel free to reach out to me directly through that chat line too, and I'm happy to help. And then I think that is everything for starting. So I'm going to go ahead and welcome you all to our Builder of Choice series. I'm very excited for this one. We've had a lot of fun getting this together. Today we are joined by Ed Hauck, who's usually with me on our Builder of Choice series, and Jeremy Knicely, Vice President of Home Building, and Ed Caldeira. So welcome to the Builder of Choice series, episode 4, The Power of Checklists. We're happy you're here with us today. Becoming a builder of choice means a builder has established themselves as a leader in their market by creating and fostering relationships with their employees, trade partners, and customers. These are the builders everyone wants to work with. Builder of choice gives you, the builder, an edge above your competition. The Shin Group, with the leadership of our founders, Chuck and Emma Shin, are passionate about helping you become the builder of choice in your market by focusing on tried and true principles. If you want to continue your learning beyond today, we have several programs available for you. Join us in one of our several live seminars, such as Managing for Profit or the Superintendent's Job. Visit our website, builderpartnerships.com or shinconsulting.com, for the current class schedule and other opportunities. The Builder of Choice series will continue to cover topics that help you become the builder of choice in your market. The next topic is how to design your homes to match your customer's budget. Look for that at the end of November, first part of December, and we might actually be putting that into October. I have a date that might have just opened up. So keep your eyes open for that one. I'm Emma Jane here with Ed Hauck and our guest Jeremy Knicely and Ed Caldeira. Each of them has a passion for checklists and the impact they have on the home building process, from documenting the process to managing quality and improving customer satisfaction. Today, we are sharing Jeremy's journey with the implementation of checklists in his organization, from the beginning when he made the decision to implement checklists to the benefits his company has experienced as a result of being disciplined with their use of checklists. With that, let's talk about the power of checklists. As we discuss the topic, we'll touch on the checklists, how they help you become a builder of choice. So Jeremy, can you please share with us where you were before you took a serious look at implementing checklists into your build process?
Yeah, a great question. I think for all of us that are looking to kind of make change or improve our business, I think we start to look internally. What can we do better? And I think as we were really evaluating, one of the things that we've prided ourselves on, but we had started to see maybe not hit the mark that we wanted, was we started to see some of our customer satisfaction scores slip. Our kind of home readiness and delivery just wasn't meeting the mark that we were founded as an organization, nearly 20 years prior to that. And so, we really started to say, hey, what is it that we need to do to improve? And we really kind of put an entire, mission around how do we improve our overall customer satisfaction. And we worked with, a lot of great partners. We partner with, Alliance Surveys, started getting a lot of their data, their feedback back. So we could start to really evaluate, where were we potentially missing, especially when it came to customer satisfaction. Ed, what we were finding as we were doing most of the research was that we just weren't getting our homes kind of complete, for the customer at move in. And and as we continued to kind of peel back that onion, what we were finding is we just didn't really have a really good process of how we needed to get to that finish line. So much in our industry had continued to change, when it comes to labor shortages, staffing, finding qualified or kind of project managers that have a lot of experience. And so a lot of our builders were getting to the point where they were kind of trying to make up that process at the end. What do we do to ensure that the home is complete and ready for our customer? And because they were relatively green in their field, they started to lean heavily on our subs to make sure that they were doing their part right. And the trades were fighting the same issues we were. They were short staffed. They had a lot of green trades in our homes, trying to get them across the line. And so we just started to kind of just continue to unpack that. And it led us to bringing Carol Smith in to speak. And, we spoke to Carol quite a bit. And she put a handful of things in place that kind of helped us. But one of the things she had mentioned is, she goes through and she evaluates what checklists do your teams have. And kind of, unfortunately, we didn't have some great ones. We had, some paper documents that were kind of utilized, but we weren't managing to it. And so we went to a builder group, one of our builder groups, and Chuck was leading it. And I think I was in a little breakout talking to Chuck and, kind of telling him that we needed to implement some checklists and, trying to get that across the line. And he recommended the book Checklist Manifesto. And I think on our flight back from Denver, I was able to read the whole book because it was just, it was really hitting what we needed. And end up talking to Carol again, saying, "Hey, we're really going to go after this. Do you have somebody that we could speak to?" And she mentioned a builder out of Texas, and we jumped on a flight from Richmond, flew down to Texas, and met with a builder that were utilizing checklists to a great success. They had seen huge improvement in their customer ratings and their warranty costs and expenses. Two big focuses that we wanted to address. And we spent 2 full days going through their program and what they utilize, and that's how we got introduced to FTQ 360 and how they were utilizing the software and helping their team basically get homes ready and complete for their customers. And so we took that and really started to say, hey, this is what we're going to do. And 3 or 4 years ago, I guess it's been now, we kind of started that journey of saying this is how here's how we're gonna do it, and we've seen a lot of success from that.
Do you have a question, Ed, or do you want me to go ahead?
No, go ahead.
Okay.
I was, so for everybody, I first met Jeremy in FTQ about 5 years ago, and I was totally impressed on the process. And as you've been doing this, I've really learned the journey that Jeremy went through to get this thing rolled out. So go ahead, Emma Jane.
Okay. Well, we all know that people are resistant to change. And this is a big change in your organization. How did you get buy-in from not only your team, but your trade partners as well? And what kind of resistance were you faced with?
Yeah, so change is hard, right? It's one of the things that we all know that, nobody likes change. Nobody kind of embraces it, especially a team of construction managers who think they're doing a great job, right? And they are. They're working their tail off, and you've got, they're managing so many things. So when you're telling, hey, one of the things we're going to introduce is a checklist to kind of help this occur. And not only that, but it's going to be electronic, which is, once again, a little bit out of, what a lot of project managers like in the pen and paper. We knew it was going to be a little bit of an uphill battle, right? And so, first of it started with just transparency with the team. Hey, here's where we are at. Here's what our customer scores are. You guys see them. Here's what our quality looks like. Here's what they're rating us. Here's what they're saying. Here's their feedback. All that information we're getting from the third-party surveys. We need to address this as a group. And and it sounds simple, but one of the easiest ways is going to be utilizing a checklist and a checklist program. And to kind of help with that, the Checklist Manifesto, the author has a great TED talk out there that I would recommend. We shared the video with the team, and we said, hey, at the end of the day, if medical professionals who went to school for years to become a doctor and to perform surgeries, and pilots, so many hours in the sky and all these other things, if they have to get into a cockpit, or they have to get into a surgery and they have to go through a checklist themselves, well, then who are we not to have something for us that to produce a product that we're selling to our customers? We should look at it as the same obligation that a surgeon does, or the same obligation that a pilot does, which is, obviously theirs is more life or death, but this is the biggest purchase most people are ever going to make in their lives, and we should be treating it that way. And we're kind of going through the process as figure it out, and we're not setting you up for success. We recognize that and own that as a leadership team, and we kind of asked them to take some ownership of that. We're putting them in a spot that they had to try to figure it all out on their own in a lot of ways. Yes, we were doing training. Yes, we were following up. Yes, we were chatting about the surveys that came in, and yes, how can we do it differently and things, but we just weren't giving them the tool to allow them to be truly successful to kind of go through it. And our team now has sounds like a lot, but they have 100-point checklist that they go through on it for every closing, for every quality inspection that they do. There's 100 questions, and some of them are real simple, some of them are easy, and some of them are a little more challenging, and so they have to go through that and fill that out. And when you're telling a project manager, hey, you're going to start something new and it's going to include a 100-point checklist, they weren't buying into it. But like any change, once they start to see the success and the improvement, it becomes easier, right? And so I would say that was when we really started to see change occur, is when we saw some of our team members that were being really successful, who had bought into utilizing the FTQ 360, who were really utilizing to make sure that they were communicating with their trades. That's when we saw it. And then, for the trade base, I think the biggest thing for them is, that they want to get in and get out, right? And obviously any return trip they have to make is an expense that typically they bear. Every now and then they may hit you with a trip charge, but they want to keep your business, they want to keep us happy. And it's our job to be the builder of choice to not put them in that position to make that decision. Do we charge or not for that return trip? And so what we found through this was an easy tool to give to trades that they can then utilize, not only for their own team, what needs to be done, but the great piece with FTQ 360 is it takes pictures, it documents it, and so there's not a question for even the trade or the owner of the company to say, what happened or whatnot. There's a picture right there that shows it, and so same thing for them. I think they love the idea of it because, let's just be honest, they were spending so much time going back, that the moment that we told them that, hey, we've implemented this program, this 100 basically item checklist that we're going to utilize at the quality inspection, and it's so that when you go out there to make whatever adjustments you need to make, if there's 6 of them, all 6 and you do it. It's not, hey, come fix this today, come fix that tomorrow. And that's kind of what we had gotten, ourselves into. And I think, talking to a lot of builders, I think that's what a lot of builders got themselves into. It was just kind of put out the fire that you saw for that moment versus stepping back and ensuring that, we're taking care of our trades when they get to the job site.
So Jeremy, one of the things that we just talked about ahead of time, our superintendents are getting younger and younger every year. One of the things I was impressed with was this digital format versus when I first started, checklists for paper. Could you talk a little about how that transition went from no checklist, or maybe somebody had a paper checklist or is making a paper punch list, to the digital format? Because I love the digital format, but I think I don't think that a lot of people understand how easy this format is.
Yeah, absolutely. I think I think that was, probably of all things for our team, that was probably the one that I think they were maybe the most concerned about. Because, right, I think when we hear checklist, especially digital, we kind of think of this kind of long, robust, it's going to take a lot of time, a lot of energy. And in reality, it's a great guide for our teams to follow. And, I think for them, we're a little bit different as a builder. We had always kind of been maybe one of the early adopters in the digital world. I mean, our team's been doing scheduling online for years now before this. So our team already had tablets in the field. They already had smartphones. They already had a lot of the tools But when it came to creating a checklist or creating a, quote unquote punch list that our teams were going to follow up on, they went back to the typical pen and paper. And it's the same thing, talking to them about the value of it, right? The big thing for us is when we use this digital platform, we fill out that 100, that there's 100 questions, or there's 100 items, there's 100 checkpoints. In the matter of 5 seconds, our teams have already got builder groups created. They've got trade groups created. They can send an email to every one of our trades saying, "Hey, I just finished walking, such and such lot in such community. Here's the quality inspection checklist that we have." And instead of them being on the phone, they still got to make their phone calls, but instead of having to go and find time to call 20 trades to get back in the home, they can immediately send that out. The other big value to it was, anytime we have anything pen and paper, you're limited to what your shorthand notes said. I don't know how many times, and like I said, this goes back to the old school way. Trade walks into
Oh no.
the house, and we're kind of shorthanding what we need addressed or fixed, and the trade doesn't know exactly what it is that we're trying to address. And in this case, we're able to upload pictures and circle areas. I mean, the number of times it's adjust cabinet door. Well, you take a picture of the kitchen and you circle the door that you want. It takes a couple of seconds. But now if my project manager is doing a walkthrough or meeting with the customer or in the office for a meeting, the trade doesn't get stuck and go home and have a secondary trip to come back. They know exactly which door you were talking about that was sticking or rubbing or whatever it may be. You now have that. So there was a lot of benefit, and it's like anything. Once they kind of got used to the program, that's what they use. And I would say from a pen and paper, it probably, I mean, this isn't scientific, but I would tell you it may take an extra 10 minutes versus the old pen and paper way. You've got, with technology nowadays.
Jeremy, but don't they save a lot of time on the back end and all that follow up and calls and all that other stuff though? That's an investment.
The back end follow up, or even having to meet a trade, or what's worse, right? You go through, you make your entire checklist, and then the trade, uses it as his dish plate for his cheeseburger and soda. He spills it. Now it's gone, right? Now you're recreating it. I mean, we've all had that happen in the field. Or the punch guy comes and he folds it up, puts it in his pocket, and then he walks off and forgot to leave it. Now all of a sudden your punch list isn't there anymore, and you've got to recreate it. Now you just have it. It's in our email, it's saved, it's on our server. At any point we can go back and pull it up, and whether it's hit print on another copy or email it to the trade, or hey, I'm sitting in a production meeting here at the office and my trade finally showed up. Well, here, hold on, I'll shoot you a text or a screenshot of the list or an email, and it's all right there for them. It's utilizing technology to what it was meant to be, which is to help us be more efficient in the field.
I have a quick question Ed. Sorry, I don't want to interrupt too much, but there's a couple words that we talked about before that I want you to address as well, Jeremy, because I think you touched on all of these points, but I think they're really important words, especially when you become a builder of choice, is accountability, transparency, and communication. I feel like you touched on all three of those concepts in what you were talking about with the ability to have the digital format for your checklist.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, for us, somebody, whether it's in my position or a director of production, right, it's tough to get to every job site, especially when you've got a lot of closings. We're getting into the fourth quarter. Most companies are really busy. It's hard to get out there and inspect everything. Now I get an email after every one of my project managers does a quality inspection, right? I get a copy of it. His manager gets a copy of it, so on and so forth. And I can at any point just kind of open it up and kind of scroll right through it and kind of see how we're doing. And I'm less concerned about what the score is. I'm more concerned about, hey, what is it that we need to address to make sure it's right for our customer? And so, and I can see the pictures, and from my time, it even saved a lot of energy and effort, because I now have the value of being able to scroll through and see, the interior of the home, the exterior of the home. Our team does take pictures of all four sides of the exterior. They take multiple pictures of the interior, even if it looks great. We want to take pictures of it. It documents it. We're extremely transparent as a company. Our customers get this checklist, so we actually share it with them. We want them to know that we've done this checkpoint, and some homes look better than others. They know that they're in our homes as much as probably we are anyway. So we're not trying to hide anything. So we're extremely transparent as an organization, and we give them a copy of it. We take pictures of model numbers and serial numbers because they've got to register their appliances or their HVAC system or whatever it may be. Well, we don't want them walking all over the house or crawling into an attic or a crawl space trying to get a picture of something. Our team takes a picture. It's saved in the file or the checklist. Customer gets it. They sit down to register all their appliances online. All they got to do is pull that document up, and they don't have to leave their desk to do it. They call into our warranty team. They have a question. We don't need to ask them to go, hey, can you go out to the garage and tell me what the model number is or the serial number is, and I'll help you get that scheduled. It's like, okay, we'll pull up the FTQ 360 checklist, and right there we have all those model and serial numbers. So we don't even have to force them to kind of go look for things. So it's just a lot of benefits that we've gained from it, from accountability, communication, transparency, all of that are just byproducts of going to this digital platform.
Ed, you had something you wanted to ask. I didn't mean to interrupt.
The one thing that I'd really liked about the checklist and talking with you, two things is, and Emma Jane and I know Emma very well, our favorite word is discipline. This really is a much more disciplined approach than just, and I look at it as, if I don't, and Jeremy talked about this before, going to surgery, we tend to fly almost all the time. Everybody uses checklist. This is a very much disciplined approach. And I like the fact that your entire team is using the same checklist. It's just not, I'm in a rush today, I'm preoccupied. It's a much more disciplined approach. Tell us a little bit about taking that disciplined approach and what impact it had on quality and also schedules. One thing that drives me nuts is trades leaving not 100%. Now I can't pay them. It causes a trip charge. But when you and I were talking, I think the discipline, and I'd like to know more about the impact on quality and then the impact on the schedules.
Yeah, so we really started to track this. We kind of got our baseline. We started in really about 2020. We started to get a lot of our baseline numbers, and then 2021 was when we were to say, okay, here's what our starting point is for our scoring and our metrics and kind of what we're trying to improve. From a customer service side of things, we've seen huge improvements. Obviously checklists are a big portion. We've done some other things too, but the checklist from a consistency side of things has made a huge impact. Our customer service ratings have improved over 15%, over 15 points. Let me rephrase that. So they've improved over 15 points over the last 2 years. Our quality inspection scores have improved about 20 points. Our home readiness score has improved over 20 points. Our referral score that's on the survey has improved over 15 points. And we can cite a lot of this back to, checklists with a few other items, but, checklist was a big focus of this needs to be done. And we transitioned. Our project managers don't do the customer walkthrough. Our warranty manager does. And our warranty manager will not do a walkthrough without a completed quality inspection. If he doesn't have it, we'll reschedule the appointment because that means the project manager hasn't turned the home over to our warranty team to manage. And so they utilize that. One of the first things our warranty manager does is he'll pull the quality inspection up and he'll know exactly what's left to be done on the home. And those are the first items, before a customer even comes into their walkthrough, those are the first items on their kind of homeowner orientation list. Their kind of punch list that survives closing, right? So they'll walk into it, and if there's 4 things that are still remaining to be addressed, they're the first 4 things. Once again, being transparent with our customer. It's like, hey, our project manager found this. We haven't gotten it done because of, needing to order a product or whatever it may be. I've already notated that on our list for you. So we've just seen, from the customer side specifically, and I think their score more than anything makes the biggest impact. I can say I think our homes are being better built with better quality, and they're ready on time for our customers because I believe that because I can see it. But it's what our customers truly have seen and feel, and they've told us that from January of basically 21 to today. Our customer service score for home readiness and referral and completeness is up nearly 20 points in a 2-year span, and so I think it's working just because our customers are saying it's working.
So a couple thoughts. One is you're using the metrics to improve quality. The one thing I'm really curious as well is the referral. You're up, 20 points. Referrals are worth 2.5%. That's huge. So tell me how you're using, like, paper checklists have no major metrics. Paper is dumb as a rock. It doesn't tell you anything. You got to load it. Nobody ever loads a list in and starts quantifying things. It's all by feel. Tell me about how you're using metrics to increase quality and solve trade problems.
Yeah, and I think this is, for our organization, right, we're always trying to improve, and it's like, what can we do better? And I think this is kind of that next evolution for us, right? It's how do we get even better? Well, now it's okay. Now we know what we need to do. We know the checklist. We know it's helping us. It's providing us the feedback and information we need to ensure our customers are taken care of. But how do we utilize this same information and get more preventative with it, right? And this is where, really what I would say, and kudos to FTQ 360 is that information is so readily available to us, right? If we continue to ask, those 100 questions and we consistently see something there, we can get reports, we can see that, right? There's about 6 or 7 team members in our organization that gets a copy of this when it goes out, right? And we're all reading it and all reviewing it. And if I'm reading it and I'm consistently seeing the same thing, adjust doors, for example, and it's on there over and over again, well, we can then dissect that and say, okay, is that a community specific? Is that a trade specific, whatever? And then we can go and have proactive meetings with our trade saying, consistently in this neighborhood or you as a trade base, we have to go and adjust a couple of doors, prior to closing, whereas maybe, vendor X, we don't have that same challenge or issue with. So it allows us to then, with our intent would be, is to continue to hopefully shrink the number of items on our list. And we've seen that occur. It allows our warranty manager to have some information to give to our production team. And when we have our trade meetings with this is a tool we utilize. And we've seen it. Our homeowner orientation list, if you go back 3 years ago, was probably 2.5 pages long. Now if we get to a second page on a homeowner list, that's probably a little bit more rare than it is normal, and it's because we're starting to say, hey, not only what do we need to find, but how do we make sure that doesn't continue to occur? And so we use this as a guide for our trades, as a talking point. So you're eliminating the project manager's biasness, right? Of, hey, what trades are we challenged with? What trades are struggling? Whatever it may be. We have that information. We still ask them for their feedback, but it's now when, there's nothing worse when you bring a trade into a meeting to say, hey, we're struggling with certain things. And they're like, well, can you give me some examples? And then nobody can really think of an example, right? It's like, well, what happens? Well, now we can pull this out and provide this data to them. It's like, well, hey, 9 of our last 10 walkthroughs, we've had to adjust 2 or more doors, because of, in your community. And so it just allows for that to be a little bit more, like I said, proactive to ensure that we're getting out in front of it.
So nothing helps more than data. I mean, you're right. The trades superintendents, it falls back to sometimes personality, the personality with the trade, the personality, what they focus on, what they don't focus on. The thing I like about it is using this data to eliminate the personality. But we always say that anything that's monitored will get better. So, I love this. One of the things that, in my current life, in my past life, we always tracked and monitored, because referrals right now, with the market being as hard as it is, some of the builders we're talking to, the web hits are down, sales are down, everything else. The referrals have to be huge. There's a money side. So anybody who doesn't know what a referral value is, on average, it's about 2.5% of a sale price on average. And you can argue that up and you can argue it down, but still $2,500 for every $100,000 is a lot of money. So Jeremy, from that perspective, is this helping you be able to sell, more confidently sell homes and sell your quality? Because we talked about that before we got on the call, about the quality and delivering higher quality homes. So tell me a little bit about how are you using this to improve quality and improve sales, not to mention the 2.5% referral.
Yeah, absolutely. I think one of it is, one big item is for our sales team. It gives them confidence, right? They know I mean, think about it. If you're a sales representative, you're sitting in a model home and you're waiting for somebody to come in. It's like, well, what makes you maybe different than some of your competitors? Well, hey, at closing, our team does a 100-point checklist and we provide you the results, right? That in its own self, gives customers a little bit of I would assume gives customers a little bit of an at ease that, hey, this company, not only do they preach quality, because I hate to say it, all of us, I don't think any of us have marketing out there that says we're just average quality. So I think we all preach that, but hey, what are we doing? Well, that's something for our sales team that they can easily hang their hat on. And then once again, it's probably not as quantifiable as I would like, but I would say the number of customers that come and hang out and chat with our sales representatives and are willing to showcase their homes, the amount of reviews that we now get on whether it's a Google or a Yelp or whatever it may be, that's on the positive side of things, has drastically increased, right? And I think when we're all going into this softer market, and I think that's going to be the difference maker, right? The people want to do what other people have done and are happy with, right? And so, and you're going to be on two sides of that coin. You're either going to have a customer that's going to provide that stellar review that you want, or they're going to provide the one that you don't. And the more we can get on that stellar side, the more likely we are to close that deal. And that's worth its weight. You say it's worth 2.5 times. That's probably the quantifiable. I think it's almost, you can't quantify it. The amount of word of mouth that's out there, the ease in which people can share information with one Google post or one Facebook rant or any of that, right? Providing a customer a great experience, especially at closing, is critical for that referral base, both positively or negatively. So this has been big, and like I said, it's been very helpful. And I know our sales team, they have definitely felt the benefits of it. Our warranty staff has felt the benefits of it. So it's been very beneficial for us as a group.
So the one thing I looked at the list. Emma Jane looked at the list of everybody attending the seminar, the webinar today. Everybody that I've seen is on some sort of a job cost system, and we rely on those systems to track our dollars, our schedules, manage our systems, our selections, and everything else. But what FTQ is doing is really that on the quality side, really tracking everything. It's really the database and reserve for everything on the quality side. So you're using their reports and that information to generate all this information, correct?
That is correct. Yep. Using and we're using. I know we're talking a lot about quality inspections because once again, that was where our main focus was, or has been. But I would say that we've utilized it for other avenues of construction. We've used it for foundations. We've used it for framing. We've used it for a lot of different avenues, not just the quality on the back end of it. And same thing, we're looking to continue to expand that, and mainly because FTQ has been such a great partner for us. When we first signed up, basically what we got was a report, right? Basically something we can utilize. We can modify it. We can manage it. We can do whatever we want. In a matter of seconds, I can add an item, remove an item, whatever it may be. And that was all great. But now they have all these dashboards that give us information. And so there's so much more data that we can now get out of utilizing these checklists. And to your point, Ed, having that information kind of at our fingertips is what's going to allow us to continue to improve. And if we really want to be that builder of choice, right, at the end of the day, the builder of choice, what our trades want is they want to be able to show up, have the home ready so they can do their job, right? That's really at the end of the day, that was what
that's all
really
they want, right?
Yep.
Just
And
let me work.
we can utilize these. The nice thing about these checklists is that we can use these for any of that. We can literally say the night before, go through and do a checklist and say, is the home ready for my next trade? We can click submit or yes and submit, and it can go to the trade base. Now we're not per se doing that right this exact moment, but that's what this tool allows us to do, right? And as we continue to try to grow and get better as a builder of choice with our trade base, I can see so many avenues and ways that a program, especially a digital program like this, that will help with that and improve, cycle time, quality, being that builder of choice, all of that. And at the end of the day, when you get into a market that starts to soften a little bit, that matters, right?
Agreed.
So we got to do everything we can to be successful, and that starts with what are we producing, providing our trades to help us do that.
So I have two more things for you. One, what I like about this is, Jeremy, at your level, you really don't get the opportunity to walk houses as much as you used to or like to. This really gives the operations team a lot more security, being able to see that there's eyes on that job. So you can comment on that, and I only have one other question after that, then we'll open it up.
Yeah, I think that's that was not the intent, obviously, when we rolled it out, right? But that has been, everything we do has an unintended consequence. Some of those are good, some of those aren't so good. And this was, a positive in it, is that I have so much more information kind of readily available to me, not only in the moment, right, to make sure we're doing what we say we're doing as an organization, as a company, for our customers. But it's not just me, but it's our entire staff. It's our entire team
Right.
can see that, right? And then there's, I hate to say it, there's the flip side, not hate to say it, but there's a flip side to it as well. It's like, we now have so much information through those checklists, and we have so many pictures now that, if I get a phone call from a customer today that's been in their home 60 days and their sod, for example, has died, and they're frustrated saying, well, it was dead when I moved in, it was dead when I did my walkthrough and all this. I literally can go right to a checklist because our team takes pictures of the exterior and be like, it wasn't, it was put down beautifully when it was installed. Or I could say, no, you're actually absolutely right. There was an area of your yard that was yellow, and our team said maybe it'll come back, maybe it won't, right? And it's allowed for some of those things to occur. That's just been a very big positive. And really, when you start looking at kind of that time suck that we get drawn
Yep.
into, there's just so much information there for us, that like I said, we didn't plan on having, but it's been huge.
No, I love that side, and I like how you said it was unintended. After I first saw you guys, it really dawned on me how much more confidence, as somebody who's not in the houses, every house, every day. If you're lucky, you're out there, twice a month. If we're lucky to a certain level. So I thought that was huge. The other thing that I really liked when you and I first started talking about this years ago is that we did, I don't know, somewhere close to 15 superintendent seminars last year, and everybody's always raising their hand how hard it is to create checklists, how hard it is to create your scopes of work and all that kind of stuff. One of the things I really liked when we first started working with the FTQ team was the fact there's a ton of checklists available for you to download, use, recreate, or whatever. Tell me a little bit how you and your team developed your checklist to the level they are now. What are you on the system now? 5 years?
Yeah, probably just over
Close.
5 years now. Yep, somewhere in that time frame.
So tell me a little bit about bringing it online. Just give everybody that snapshot of using pre-made checklists. That was one of the questions that already came up. So I'm addressing that, as well as my other question was really about onboarding the system. And Emma Jane, and you talked about people hate change. Trust me, I'm one of them. But I do like this system. So tell us a little about the pre-made checklist and how that helped you bring the system online.
Yeah, so once again, especially now, FTQ 360 has really done a phenomenal job of. They have so many pre-built checklists already there for you, right? So the nice thing is, if you were to subscribe specifically to FTQ 360, they have checklists already built. So the first thing, for us, it was, well, what do we want to focus on first, right? And the very first one for us was, of course, quality, the end of construction. So that's where we started, and they provided us kind of a rough template, right? And it was a good starting point for us, but it was, I don't know, maybe 15, 20 questions, like I said, it was a while ago now, but and we've just slowly grown it over time to what we have felt has been important to accomplish. Like I said, some of the items on there maybe is not that important to somebody else, right? To another builder, but to us, we felt like it was important that was one of the line items or one of the questions, or that it be separated out from maybe, just a generic kitchen or cabinetry one. Maybe we pull it out because we wanted to focus on it, right? If our warranty team comes to us and says, hey, we're having a consistent issue with this item, we're seeing it, in our opinion, 50% of the time at homeowner walks, or we're seeing it at warranty reviews or something like that, then what we'll do is we can add or update that item to the list. So we say it's 100 points, but at some point it may be 102, 103 if we want to add things. But it was extremely easy. I mean, it's as simple as, I mean, the longest part is really probably having the phone call, getting everything set up on the back end of logging into the website, creating the usernames and all that. That's probably what takes the longest. Creating the initial checklist. If you utilize one of their just pre-built templates, you could be online in minutes. And then you just go from there and start to tweak it.
Jeremy, I thought that was absolutely amazing. I saw their checklist. My background, for those you don't know, came from the field. Anybody in upper management position right now thinking about having a player new to your operation and is now controlling $20 million of your money every year, and it's all them on quality, this has got to make you feel a whole lot more confident that your policies, procedures, how you want to finish a house is being accomplished. Would you agree with that?
100%. And not only that, I think you touched on it briefly, but our staff, and everybody's staff has just gotten so much, I'm gonna say younger when it comes to experience, right? And so a lot of our team members are a year, 2 years into this industry, and it takes a couple of years for somebody to become really solid and seasoned to be able to walk through and pick up things. And what this does is this is just that typical reminder from a training side of things. And what's great as a manager, you can go through it a couple of times, show them how to utilize it. And then the nice thing is you can just let them go do it. And then you can follow up with them or even without them, because now you have the list, right? You have the pictures and things, and you could continue to coach and guide and train and lead your team. And it's just another avenue and resource that we have to continue to build our team up. And it's funny. I mean, I've had trades ask, how do they utilize this, right? How do they utilize FTQ? Because they want to do that even for their own teams. They've got field managers, and so they're asking questions like, hey, this has been great. You guys provide us great detail, but we'd love for our field manager to go through and do a checklist. Can it, and we've gotten them connected with, specifically, and they now use it, right? So they're set up. So there's a lot of value. There's a lot of power in having this stuff right at our fingertips, and it's so easy to use. Now that we're on it, I don't know why we would have never not had something, some type of checklist program like this.
Jeremy, one of my favorite parts about this being an old production manager, so you got a production manager, 20, 30, whatever years of experience, and we have a bunch of people in the industry 2 years. I just don't know why you wouldn't leverage that knowledge from your higher up team and make sure everybody's doing it. I just love that part. We're through the questions and that we had pre-prepared before this. I'm going to turn things back over to Emma Jane. She's got a couple other questions as follow-up. And by the way, anybody else is still on, if you have any questions, we got a few more minutes that we'll hang on. It's a great, powerful tool. As you can tell, the fact that I like making sure everybody in the field has got that, that tool. We talk about the scopes of work, and all the rest of the tools these guys have. This is actually closing that loop and making sure superintendents have the proper tools to give you the quality that you want.
Hey, Jeremy, I got one last question. From my standpoint, how important was it for you to read that checklist manifesto, and did you share that with your management team as you started this journey?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I wouldn't say I was against checklists, because I think when we started hearing it, especially talking to Carol, she's such a guru and stuff, and when she was explaining it, I think there was a yes, we need to do that, right? But it was kind of like, yeah, we need to do that. But in reading the book and digging into kind of the research and the information provided, it became at that point almost in a way, why haven't we done this, right? And now, I mean, you go to any doctor's appointment, you go to any surgery, you go to almost anything right now, you can literally see the checklist, right? Usually they have it right there, the nurse has it and they're checking through it. We all know if you've gotten on a flight, you all know that they're going through those. You see the flaps moving, you see they're checking all these things, right? And so once again, two of the most critical probably professions, when it at least comes to safety for us. If they're utilizing it, experts in their field, then I would definitely say somebody that's been in the industry for a year and is expected to build a $500,000 home for somebody, they probably should have some type of tool. So yeah, the book was probably maybe the massive shove off the cliff to finally move forward with it, right? It was kind of a no-brainer. Like I said, the TED Talk was great. The book is 10 times better. So definitely recommend getting online and finding a way to download the copy of Checklist Manifesto. It was really good.
It has nothing to do with our industry.
Nothing.
It has medical and airplanes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A little bit about engineering, but
Yeah,
that's about it. So, but yeah, no, it's a great book. So if anybody's kind of thinking, it's kind of on the webinar thinking about it, and they're questioning somebody like me out of Richmond, read the book. He's significantly brighter than I am. And if you read that, it'll all make sense on why you need to start putting a checklist together.
Thank you so much, Jeremy. I don't have any questions brought in, but I do want to invite Ed to speak a little bit, because I know one of the things we talked about when we were talking as a group was the collaboration you had working with Ed to even fine tune FTQ 360, the tool itself, and some of the feedback and the conversation that would go on between the two of you. And Ed, would you share a little bit about that and how you've used the feedback from builders like Jeremy to improve your tool? And as he's looking for the mute. There we go.
Unmute button there. Yeah. Well, we have a background in quality in construction and home building in particular also, because, well, I was the director of quality for NAHB for about 10 years. So it was really just the convergence back with Jeremy and his team about what was going on. And JC is an important part of that whole process that we went through. So we just tried to provide some direction, but it was really just opportunities to do what Jeremy wanted to do and what his team wanted to do. And so we would weigh in occasionally on some of the things and show them different methods that are possibilities. And really, they led their own way to where they are right now. So we do have a lot of checklists that just makes it more of a plug and play sort of thing. And I think that anybody who's actually thinking about this now is much more of a turnkey process than what you went through, Jeremy, right now, just because of the virtue of how it's matured over the years. And the second thing is with builder partnerships. I mean, that whole team is oriented to helping their companies get to build better companies. And they know FTQ 360. We're kind of like we're powered by FTQ 360, but they're really the ones with the knowledge about what it really takes to implement a quality system and get to basically the same place that Jeremy's at, or whatever place that they actually want to be. But everyone, I can just tell from experience, is that it's not cookie cutter. Okay. There are a lot of tools that get used in some of the same ways, but everyone really ends up with their own experience and their own journey towards a very top-notch quality company. So kudos to you, Jeremy, for the path that you took.
And Ed, kudos to you too, because I must have thousands of checklists that builders have done over the years as samples, and it's really nice to have what you're doing with the checklist and really formalizing the process.
Yeah. It's fun. There's a certain amount of satisfaction that one gets from moving their companies forward. That's kind of like what my motivation is for actually quality and construction. And Jeremy, I hope that you found it kind of like a satisfying personally for your own experience about leading your company in this direction too. So what do you think about that?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I think that's anytime you set a goal, right, a mission around something, you start to see the improvement, right? it's the pride you feel, right? And I think that's what we want. I wear the StyleCraft badge proudly, and so when we walk in our communities, I want to be proud of that, right? So does our team, and so this is 100% seeing it go from what it was to what it is today. When it comes to specifically the quality side and referral side, definitely a lot of pride, and that's taken place.
Yeah.
And I look forward to working with you, Ed, on moving your checklist to other areas of home building companies. Not just the actual product, but more into systems, processes, and ways of doing stuff.
Well, it's kind of interesting. Just like to share with the wider group who's on the call here is that we have some of our checklists, and as you know, that building partnerships has their own perspective on things. Accountability, quality, first-time quality orientation, and they are developing their own set of checklists. I know Ed has come to us with some of the checklists that he's used in paper over the years. We've kind of curated them into a digital format. We're continuing this process to take kind of like the perspective that they're bringing to the forefront here and digitizing it. And it's really kind of like the Shin quality process that is being put into place here. So it's going to be more and more available in easier and easier ways for builders to actually implement a good quality process for their companies.
And I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, it's good stuff. Solid. Yes.
As opposed to everybody creating their own checklists and are kind of guiding them through the process, it's going to be really nice to have templates that we can have that are electronic.
Yeah.
Well, I don't want to have any more questions, but I do want to thank all of you for joining us today. I'm going to go through a couple things, but I want to close out this section of the call by emphasizing how important checklists have been in helping Jeremy get through the quality issues that improving quality. I wouldn't say quality issues. I'll say improving quality throughout the last few years that he's been doing that, and really focusing in on where improvements need to be made, and the communication and the transparency he's had, not only with his trades and his employees, but also with his customers. So you can see how checklists really do make a difference in your organization. So I want to thank you guys for sharing on that. Just want to keep you up to date on future webinars. We have a webinar coming up on October 25th that's going to be presented by Permit Flow. They're going to do a case study on permitting. I know that's an easy process for everyone, right? A little tongue in cheek there. And then coming soon, we're finalizing a date. We're going to be doing another Builder of Choice episode with Lita Dirks. We're actually meeting with her to finalize date and topic, but that one we're looking at doing designing your homes with your customer's budget in mind. I feel like that might be a very timely topic right now to make sure that we're building homes that everybody can afford, right? Or that our buyers can afford at least. And also remind you that we have rebates, our rebate program that's available to you. If you have any questions on that, please contact us directly. We have our online training, live classes, webinars, and on-demand training, our consulting available, surveys, and builder groups, which I call builder support groups. That's actually where Jeremy first shared his passion for checklists. That's why I asked him to join us today. Upcoming seminars. We have our last in-person seminar of 2023 coming up in November 8th through the 10th in Denver for our production management seminar. And then in the first quarter of next year, we have the Art of Purchasing, Superintendent's Job, Managing for Profit, and Scheduling for Profit. So hope to see you guys there. If you're using, I mentioned earlier, we do with Builder Partnerships, we have a rebate program. Please take a look at this list. If you're using any of these companies, contact us and we can help you with your rebate program. It's super simple. We have our two relationship managers that can assist you at any time to get those taken care of. And finally, just a quick thank you. If you have any questions on anything that we talked about today, of course, Ed and myself are always available to you. And then we also have Ed. If you have questions regarding FTQ 360, you can contact Ed or JC. So with that, thank you all so much for joining us today. I appreciate it for another Builder of Choice webinar. Have a great day, everybody.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, everybody. Ed, it was great to see you.